back. Boy, look, we got more people at the table. Hilton Majovic is joining us here today, and we are very pleased to have Don Miguel Ruiz here and Eva Larsson. They're up from LA, and they're here for the Dialogues of the Heart conference this weekend. And Don Miguel, great to have you here.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. All the time I come to Toronto, I just love it. It's just beautiful here.
Well, that's great. And I was mentioning before, we had your son here a while back, who was
Don Jose.
Yeah, and we had a great time, and so it's great to have you here.
Yes, he's the author of the Fifth Agreement, the last book.
Yeah,
I just helped him a little with that book.
Well,
just a little bit. Yeah, that's nice.
Well, he asked me to talk about the 4 agreements to make the introduction to his book.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
No, I've read the 4 agreements, and a lot of people have read it, and I think I read the 5th agreement too. But you're here in town for this conference this weekend, and I guess you're going to be talking about shifting the planet, and the planet seems to be shifting. But maybe you can give your perspective on all this.
Well, we can say that humanity is shifting all the time. What is important is to see that this century, in the last part of the last century, the changes is being very fast. And psychology is still a little behind. Then I think it's so important to catch up with technology, with science. And you can see the crisis today, you know, the way that humanity evolves, you have times of stability and times of crisis. And it's in the times of crisis when we see all these possibilities, and I see the time of crisis as a time of opportunity, because now we can change what we don't like in that time of stability.
Okay, because when we look at what's happening, I mean, if you're positive about it, you can see that, you know, maybe we're on the verge of a new age of people working together and prosperity and peace. On the other hand, you could see things going horribly wrong. And sometimes when I think about the idea that, you know, it only takes one bad apple to spoil the bunch, you know, that maybe the probability of things going horribly wrong is higher than the probability of things going right.
Well, if we see the history of humanity, it's always been bad apples. And it's always all those crises, all those wars, etc., etc. But after the crisis passed, then in that time of stability, everybody got it together, make something big, then injustice comes again, and this is a time when we no longer want to be part of that stability, and we change it.
Yeah. And
this is when we go against everything that we don't believe. And we can see that in an individual, in a family, in society, and in the entire humanity. And this is how humanity evolves. You know, every time there is a time of crisis, it's like a science and technology grow very fast and catch up with whatever is behind. And new ideas, new rules start applying to humanity.
Okay. Now, you know, the thing that I think about, and we've heard it, you know, when people talk about, and I don't want to get crazy here, but Atlantis, is that what happened was the technology, because our technology has grown so much in the last 50, 100 years, but have we, as biological entities, creatures, our evolution hasn't kept up with the evolution of our technology. And I wonder if it will be able to. Or will we experience a fall like there may have been in the past?
Not really. What I really believe is that as we catch up with psychology, then humanity get to another time of stability. And everything becomes so calm, so relaxed, until it will happen again, the crisis. But if you see every time that happens in humanity, humanity has been evolving. You know, the injustice is all the time less and less and less. Just imagine waking up 1,000 years ago, let's say in England, and knowing what you know right now. And you see the injustice that is happening in England. If you want to tell everybody what you know, I don't think that is more than 1 week until the Inquisition gets you and burns you alive.
Yeah, you're a witch.
Yes,
absolutely.
they will say that you make a deal with the devil.
Yes. That's right.
So Don Miguel, in this, you speak of the last 1,000 years, and any of us today going back 1,000 years. Can you help us understand, looking at the next 100 years? And if we look at our last 100 and the vast changes that you spoke of, imagine us going to 2111 and standing there in this next 100 years. What I'm aware of is and I can't even call it the generational divide, but the elders, of today and the youth of today, our grasp of technology, middle, like in the elder generation, and the youth have such a different world that they're looking forward to, and all the challenges and the divide, as you said, of the extremes and the opposites. How do you see a way that now, in spite of the world crisis and humanity's crisis, how can we bring all the generations together?
Well, first of all, we need to have awareness. This is the word key, awareness. Let's imagine the last century, when we go from the 19th to the 20th century.
Yes.
And we used to believe that there was no sense for the children to go to school. Yeah. The majority didn't know how to read and write. Anyway, by law, they start going to school, and when they come back to school, they do the homework. All the old people like us start watching what they was doing, and we learn with them how to read and write.
Yes.
Right now, present time, you put me the computer, I have hardly an idea how to work the computer. But I go with my 6-year-old grandchild, and he make it in.
Absolutely.
It's like he was born with a chip in the head.
Yes.
This is the new generation that
and
is
we
coming.
don't have that. So how do we fit in with the younger generation? What's our place with them?
Well, we have something they don't have.
Wisdom.
Wisdom, exactly. It's not about knowledge, it's about wisdom.
Don't they have wisdom?
No. Not at 6 and 12 years old, but there's that old joke, if you want your computer fixed or you need something in your computer, ask a 12-year-old.
Yes, exactly.
Because, as you say, they're more proficient, they've grown up with that. We didn't. So as you're saying, basically, as we progress as a species, as humans, when we let, because when turn of the century, we were agriculturally based. That's why kids didn't go to school, because you didn't need to go to school to read and write to operate a farm. Now, it's basically intelligence-based. It's basically knowledge-based that we live in right now. So once we catch up to, I think you're just hitting on this, is this, as older people, I think we're kind of caught just kind of in the middle between that transition from agriculturally based to information-based, and we seem to be caught in this wasteland of, well, what do we do now? I mean, are we going to be just that little hiccup that within the next 20 or 30 years, everybody growing up is going to be on the same sort of foothold?
Yes.
Is that what we're looking at?
Well, we are going in that direction. Now, we can see that by the end of the last century, when the technology was almost like it's today,
right?
Most of the people hardly believe in what I used to share with them.
Right.
Right now, everything changed. Everybody's so ready to that shift, and it's happening. With, without me, humanity is changing itself. And it's so beautiful to see that is what is going on in the world. Information go from one place to the planet to the other in just seconds. Then there's so many lies that we believe for so long. But we no longer can believe it because it's right there.
So are we looking at like a harmonization of a global, I don't want to say a global intellect, but a global understanding?
Yes.
Because we can transfer information so quickly? Or is it on the flip side of that? Are we transferring information that's scaring people and causing conflict and causing
Well, we can
war?
see that in this conflict, last century, everything was based, let's see, in television and newspaper.
Sure.
They used to manipulate
Those were the
using
mediums. Absolutely.
But now, with the computers,
Internet,
with the
right.
Twitter and Facebook, all those things, whatever the television say, you see there, and it's not true.
Well, and I find, like you mentioned Twitter. I don't tweet. I don't do the
I don't
Twitter
either,
thing because it's.
I know that exists.
I think it's banal. I mean, who cares in 140 characters that you're eating lunch right now? It just, to me, I think we seem to sort of, focus on the minutia of life rather than.
And this is
the
wisdom
whole.
talking right now.
Right.
Then you say, this is not a reason to do that. But it's part of the shift.
But yeah, it's part of the discussion. You're saying, right? It's part of the shift from not talking at all because we were sort of localized
talking too much.
to a global.
And then finding the middle
there will be an
path
equilibrium, of course.
Yes.
Right.
Is there maybe your conference this weekend is on the heart or coming from the heart?
Yes, coming from the heart.
Is the
coming
heart
from
always,
wisdom? We can say that if we want to.
Is the heart always wise?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is the heart always wise?
Well, the heart is just a symbol. You know, I used to have a different heart a year ago. You know, October 9th, 2011, they have a heart transplant.
Oh.
Then I have a new heart.
Really?
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
I have the scar right here.
That is amazing.
And I have a different heart, but I'm exactly the same thing. Nothing changed in me, except the heart, of course.
Do you feel different? Because some people say there's gray matter, there's brain cells.
Well, I feel strong again.
Yeah.
About emotions, no, it's the same. It's just superstition.
Well, yeah, because there have been some documented accounts of people getting heart transplants, and all of a sudden they crave what the other person used to crave.
They create so much stories.
Right.
And you know, humans are so suggestible.
Absolutely.
That if they tell you you're gonna feel that, you can bet tomorrow you're gonna feel it.
Power of suggestion, right?
You look so sick. What's happened to you?
Yeah.
Next day for sure you're gonna be sick.
You're gonna feel sick, or
Yes.
you're gonna think that you're sick, or
and it's a way that how we can manipulate each other. But the truth is that you are not.
When you speak of the heart in your conference this weekend, you're speaking of what type of heart? Not the physical heart.
Well, we can say that it's about a conflict that exists in the human mind, and only in the human mind, not in the rest of the species. And for so long, they used to believe that this conflict in the human mind was between good and evil.
Right.
Well, good and evil is just the result of the real conflict, because the real conflict is between the truth and lies. It's like you say, if you do good, you feel good. If you do bad, you feel bad. Then you believe in truth, you feel good, you act good, and if you believe in lies, well, you will feel bad. You will see injustice everywhere. You will see whatever we see all the time all around.
Is there a difference between the male mind? We've got three of us here, and Eva is here.
Well,
and
it's a good question
maybe you'll
for
speak
her.
to this also, Eva. You know,
If there's a difference in the mind?
yeah, in the male mind and the female mind, and you know, and you're working with Miguel, so.
I would say there is.
Absolutely.
The human body is an animal like any body.
Sure. Yeah.
And the blueprint of the human body is different from male and female. We have different
Absolutely.
instincts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then to add on top of that, you have the domestication, the programming on the mind, which is completely individual depending on where you grew up, your family, your culture, which also makes it different.
Absolutely,
So
like
absolutely.
from hormones to, as you say, your development from where you grew up, your parenting, everything else, that makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
For the conference itself, though, because I know you were mentioning something, the physical
what is the
heart,
heart
or
that we can develop?
right. Is there a global consciousness of heart? Is there a message that you can give?
Well, we can say it's about bringing the truth again.
Right, you're saying it's different between, it's not between good and bad, it's between truth and lies. I love that, I think that's
speaking
amazing.
from the heart is speaking to the truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Then whatever it is.
So as a global consciousness,
It's getting there.
because we were talking
That's the
about this
beautiful
last
part.
week. I think the last time that the world was really tuned into one thing was September 11th, 2001. That was a global consciousness awakening, whereas everybody on the planet at the same time was feeling guilt, remorse, sadness. I mean, we had these feelings that were being, perpetuated, again, globally. And what that did to the mindset, I know how I felt for like a week after that happened. And you looked around you, and again, the love and the outpouring came out after the fact. But for those first few hours after those buildings went down, I think the pulse of the world was
And this is very
standstill.
interesting, because when it's the forces of nature, it's different.
Yes.
But it's time we human, we did that.
Yes, right,
It is a
exactly.
huge
Forces of man
difference.
versus the
Yeah.
forces of nature.
Right.
Because we can see it like in Japan, the earthquake, the tsunami,
tsunamis, yeah.
everybody go and help or
Yeah.
whatever, but there's no one to blame.
Right. And we need that, don't we? As a species. We
Yes.
need to focus our anger and our energies on something concrete.
Well, we see like an injustice, and we want to get even and even get revenge or whatever.
Sure.
And
There's people on death row that don't
it is
want to be there,
understandable.
but you're right, absolutely.
But you see, the other side, they was so happy celebrating what happened in
Right.
11/11.
Sure.
Then we can see the both sides of the coin. And if they, at that time, if the media still manipulated, they focus on a very few people, but they don't see the rest of the people, and I think they will shock too.
Right.
They just focus on what everybody wanted to see.
Right.
Okay, so we're now this conference this weekend, Dialogues of the Heart. I mean, these are interesting times. In fact, today is supposed to be the rapture, right?
Every day is the rapture.
Now you tell us. I mean, I spent a fortune. Just kidding.
Darn bomb shelters.
And the rapture only happened in your mind, in your head.
Right. But no, I mean, and of course next year is 2012, which is supposed, the Mayan calendar's
Yes.
coming to an end. And people seem to, we seem to be always coming up to these apocalyptic moments where something is supposed to change. Nothing has changed really yet. And I'm just wondering, as we approach this, as individuals, whether or not something happens, how is an individual supposed to even choose what they're going to do with their life in this context?
Well, first of all, I have to disagree a little because everything is changing all the time. Like right now, everything is changing. And that begins with your own physical body. Your physical body is changing. If you have a good memory, you remember when you was a child, you see your little hands. Now you see the hands today, and you can see the whole change completely. If you go to another country in a month or a year or 2 years, you come back, you will find many things different. It's always changing. Then the dream of the planet, the society is always changing too. Not just in 2012 or tomorrow. It's always changing. But if we know that the Mayans create a beautiful calendar, very accurate, and they put the end of that calendar in the 21st of 2012, just to begin another one next day, because it's just like the end of a year. You do all the wishes, how the year's going to be, what you want to change, etc., etc. And you got the purpose, and nothing happened, really. Then nothing will happen, but the changes that is happening all the time. But if we know that is very significant, that date, and we have a little more than 1 year, then we can give a meaning, we can agree. And my proposal is to agree that December 21st, 2012 should be the end of superstition, the end of fanaticism, the end of all those lies, and the return to the truth, which is what the Mayans want to tell everybody, the return of Quetzalcoatl, which is just another name, it's just another symbol, but it represents the truth. Then this is my proposal, that we work with ourselves. We no longer believe our own lies, go deeper in ourselves, let go, and see the truth as it is, not as we want to see it. Because right now we only see what we want to see, and we only hear what we want to hear, but not what is real. We can say that every human creates his own truth. When you create your own reality, your own dream, everything is about you, and it's completely normal. Then with your knowledge, you justify everything, and you create your own truth, but that truth is not exactly the truth. It's been shifting a lot. But the truth really exists. And the truth exists long before the creation of humanity, and will exist long after the extinction of humanity. That the truth doesn't need that we humans believe in the truth or not, it just exists. We perceive it, in our perception, we distort it, and we create our own truth, which is based in what we learn, which is not truth any longer. But if we have that awareness, and we are a little more wise, we will find out that we no longer have to believe about ourselves what we believe our entire life. We are not as bad as we think we are, or as good as we think we are. It's much more easy to be what you are than to try to be what you are not.
Yeah.
Then this is my proposal for the year 2000.
Hear, hear. You know, and I love that thought that you made that December 21st, 2012 isn't the end of the world, it's the end of superstition.
It's the end of your world.
Yeah, the end of superstition.
If
and
you want
fear
to.
and- yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good for you.
We all get to choose freedom
Yes.
of choice.
Right.
Mhm.
And in your theme this weekend, is Saturday and Sunday your course?
I guess it's
yeah.
there, I'm not sure.
Yes, yes.
I think so.
And what are your hopes to deliver and the shift that you hope to deliver that people can, sort of the highlight points that you really want?
Well, I only can deliver one thing,
Hmm?
and it's myself. It's my presence.
Your true self.
Yeah, just I'm not pretending to be what I'm not.
Hmm.
I'm just there, and I enjoy what I do because this is exactly what I love to do. My passion is in what I'm doing right now, is to deliver a message, to use the language, to send a message, and it's really not important if people will understand or not the message, because they have the right to believe whatever they want to believe.
Yes.
Then one of the things that my son say in the fifth agreement is be skeptical, but learn to listen.
Yes.
And be skeptical is don't believe me, don't believe yourself, and don't believe anybody else, but learn to listen. When you listen, you make a decision of what works for you, and that will shift whatever you need to shift in your knowledge and make your life a little easier. Then that depends how involved you are with yourself. It's not that someone come and tell you how to live your life, or that you go and impose your opinions, your will to somebody else. No.
For people that are enmeshed in the lie or the struggle, and what would you advise, what could you advise people that are in such pain and conflict?
Well, first of all, what I will let them know that they live in that way because it's the result of the choices that they made. They create their own reality, and they're completely responsible for every decision that they made in their life. If they have that awareness, now they have the opportunity to make a choice. If they like the way they live in their life, there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
But if they don't like it, they can change it because they created. They are the artists who create the life in the one they're living. And
Why
nobody
does-
else can
yeah.
change it. Only
Why
they
does
can
change
change it.
seem to be so hard for people, though, for humans?
Well, it's so easy to understand that because when we grow up,
Yeah.
we practice what our parents, what society, what the school teach us. And we practice and practice and practice and practice, make the master.
Yeah.
Then we master anger, we master jealousy, we master, all those negative things, but also positive things.
Yeah.
And by practice, we become the master of what we believe we are. We create an image of ourselves, and everything, we do it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we repeat so many times
Mm-hmm.
that in every action, we will have more or less the same reaction. Then if we have that awareness and we don't like the reaction, we need to change the action.
Yeah.
It's completely logical.
Now, we don't have a lot of time left here, but Eva, I just want to ask you a question because you're the manager, you're Don Miguel's manager and partner. Do you have anything to add to all this as we approach 2012? And do you have any advice for people who are struggling with how to move forward?
Well, the most important thing is that it all comes back to yourself. We're talking about these changes, we're talking about the shift 2012 and the end of superstition, and it's so easy to think that if the government changed, or my boss, or my husband, or my friends, if all those things change, it will all be great. Mm-hmm. And that's really just a reflection. It all comes back to me. And having that awareness that I am the one that have to make a choice in every single moment, not just 2012, but every single moment. I have that choice. I can make that choice. If I feel resistance, if I feel the need to hold on, I'm creating that resistance and that suffering in myself, and I'm the one suffering, and therefore also projecting that suffering in different ways onto the world. I make that choice. Having awareness something is going on in me, take a step back, make a new choice. And it's so simple, and it's so difficult.
Absolutely. It's simple to say that we all own the key to our own private little prisons.
Yeah.
And we can stay there, or we can release ourselves. And you're right, it's easy to say, it is hard to do.
Which is a great excuse.
Well, yeah, absolutely, it is. Absolutely. There's so many things you can say that I haven't got time, I haven't got this, I haven't got that. And you can live in your own fear, and you can live in your own misery, or you can actually take that time to change. So over the 2 days that you guys are having the conference and everything, when you do these before, do you see a lot of changes in people that hopefully will stay with them?
A lot.
A lot, yeah, and that's what we need to see, Don Miguel. You know, the actual message getting through to people.
You know, the 4 agreements was, I read it in a way that is very simple, very easy, that anyone can understand, even people that never went to school, to the most intelligent people in the world. And that was translated in 36 different languages, and it's all around the world.
Right.
And every time they tell me how that book really changed their life.
Could I hear you say, could I hear you say the 4 agreements, just for everybody here, if anyone hasn't heard it?
Oh, well, yes, be impeccable with the word. That represents you, the story that you create.
Yes.
Don't take anything personally, and this is because you live in your own world and everybody else live in their own world, that whatever they say is not really about you, it's the secondary character who live in their story.
Yes.
Don't make assumptions, and that gives you immunity in the interaction that you have with yourself. You no longer believe in all the lies that you tell to yourself. And the ones that I love the most is always do your best. Because this is the action, is what makes the dreams come true.
Yes.
All right.
It was revealing to see the assumption. It's not just about other people, it's also about ourselves.
About ourselves.
And the stories we have believed that are not necessarily true.
Exactly.
Most excellent. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Great to have you here. Great to
It was a
meet you,
pleasure.
Don Miguel and Eva.
Thank you.
Now we've got the website. Is this the, which website is this? Is this the Vital You? This is the Vital You, and this is the website that, or the organization is putting the conference together, Dialogues of the Heart. That's this weekend. Now, Jennifer, I know I don't have dates or a location for the conference, and how do people sign up for it? So we want to give people that information. So go to thevitalu.com. Which
October 22nd,
it's
Toronto Botanical Gardens.
all right. So it's at the Botanical Gardens. That's up at.
Starting at 1:30.
And where is the Botanical Gardens?
Lawrence and Don Mills.
Lawrence and Don Mills. And you can sign up on the site, thevitalu.com, and you'll be able to hear you, Don Miguel, speak. Are you going to be speaking, Eva?
Yes.
Fabulous. And also Daniel Gutierrez, Eva Charlotte will be speaking as well. It's going to be awesome. So go to that website and check it out. Do you guys want to give out any information? Maybe some contact info for you guys and what you guys are doing when you're not in Toronto?
That's my job. Well, you can find all that information on www.miguelruiz.com. It's all going to be there.
Okay.
And for
great.
tomorrow at the conference, it's mainly focused on relationship. And again, that comes back to you,
Yeah,
first and
absolutely.
foremost. And every other relationship comes from there.
Okay. All right. Great to have you guys on the show. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a little break now.
Cut.
And we're going to come back with Ravenna Barker, who is Director of Sustain Ontario, and we're going to be talking about local food
Yes,
again.
again, it's an important thing that we need to talk about, absolutely.
So let's take this break and we'll come right back with Ravenna here on ThatChannel.com.
What's the use in trying anymore? You never answer